Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the informal portion of the evening where we're going to have two pre-applications in front of us. The first one is 2105 and 2125 Reservoir Avenue, the Reservoir Avenue Apartment District, 48 units, market rate, or alternate proposal, affordable housing district, 105 units. The floor is yours, Mr. Bellis. Name and address, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's on? I can't see it.
No, you gotta hit the green button. The red button turns green when you push it on the bottom.
I see it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, I'm attorney Stephen Bellis with the Pellegrino Law Firm, and I represent 2105, 2125 Reservoir Avenue LLC. You may recall at the end of last year, I stood here and presented a workforce text amendment. That text amendment also was for an apartment district that allowed up to 50 units, and it had workforce percentage of the units being workforce, and the rest of them were going to be market rate. We had a little discussions for maybe 2 hearings, and then on February 25th, 2025, the board voted or denied that text amendment. So that's how we kind of started with this process. So I was tasked to come up with an alternative to the workforce housing text amendment, and I proposed, and again, they're just drafts, 2 drafts, and I put it up on the screen. The Reservoir Apartment District overlay is what we call an overlaid zone. So under Connecticut General Statute 8-2M, you're allowed to have overlay zones over existing zones that the Trumbull regulations already have. So in this particular one, it would apply for properties that are between 1 acre and 5 acres. The text would apply if you had sewer and water. And then the text amendment would apply if you're in a residential zone A south of Route 15 with an address on Reservoir Avenue. That would allow you then, and I'm not going to go through all the other regulations, but basically that would allow you, if you were to pass this text amendment, an applicant would come in with a zone change under this text amendment, and then come in with a special permit and show you something that is under 50 units, has sewer and water, and is property that's located south of Route 15 on Reservoir Avenue. If they didn't meet those, if they met those requirements, you could pass that special permit. So,
You want to talk about the size and density of your intention to present?
yeah, I'll have Steve Shapiro go through that. He has some renderings. He's my client here, and he can take you through it. So on that text amendment, you could not have more than 50. That would be the text on the
On what size property?
Oh, between 1 and 5 acres. So our particular piece of property is, I think it's about 1.7 acres. So we can walk you through that. But those are just the parameters for the text amendment. The second application that I was asked to perform was a 830G would be site-specific only for this particular parcel. That text amendment would be under the set-aside program under 830G. So under that particular program, as you're probably familiar, 30% of the units would be set aside as affordable, and of that 30, 15% at 60 AMI and 15% at 80 AMI. Again, that site-specific would be to that one particular parcel, and in that one, I think I had up to 105 units being under the 830G. So those are the proposals that I'm suggesting or talking about, and we're open to suggestions, of course. I'll have Steve talk a little bit about the particulars. So we had the workforce, we had the straight, what I would call a market rate apartment application, and we have a possibility of an 830G site-specific set-aside. So those are the three choices, I believe, that we're trying to utilize for this particular development on this property. So,
Okay.
let me
So,
introduce Steve.
just
Yeah.
housekeeping, we generally only do a half hour for pre-apps before our regular meeting, and we have two today, so it's 15, 20 minutes. I was a couple minutes late. We're gonna give you a little leeway, but,
Yeah, I'm not gonna be long. I'm
no,
done.
right, okay.
Steve?
Because we have another one after you.
Yeah.
Good evening, Steve Shapiro for the record. As you all know, we were here before, trying to get a middle housing proposal passed. Got two neighboring towns, middle housing proposals passed recently in Fairfield and Stratford. I'm simply here tonight to ask, you guys denied it last time, what comments, suggestions does this commission have? I thought it was a good idea for the town, the last proposal. It got you some credits. It wasn't too dense. I brought a couple pictures now. The one closest to me is the 3-story, 48-unit building that would be in the text amendment above parking. The 830G's down there at the end. I think there's a bunch of other senior proposals in the area, so senior probably wouldn't work and wouldn't really want them for sale. It's an apartment kind of set up there. It's by public transportation. No neighbors came out in opposition last time, so I'm just simply here to humbly ask the commission what comments, suggestions, if you're open to it, maybe you're not,
I'll give you-
for the 48-unit building.
I'll just give you the 10,000 foot, the flavor of the committee, the commission, and the town when it comes to high density. It's a very sore subject. Some people are in favor of it. Many vocal people are not because of the concentration and the quick history. Trumbull really didn't have it except for Avalon. And then once the gate opened, 4, 5, 6 people all lined up. And then parameters were put on and more lined up right before the parameter doors were closed, right? So Trumbull went from only Avalon to now multiple developments, and then the mall joined us with we're going to go bankrupt unless we're able to develop, and they got theirs. And that's why there's a high concentration now on what can come or not come being age restricted because it's less impact. So we require impact studies for any and all of these applications that do show up. And one of the things that we've said to the public is all the impact studies that we've required from all these different developments have proven true or less. None of the impact studies were blown out of the water and it's a negative, right? But the problem is they're all new. Total impact and repercussions for schools and all those services are still just gathering data, as you will, So that's why the moratorium for no more high density and the age restricted are what's being allowed in some places because of less of a drain on services, mainly the schools, right, when that happens. So you're talking about here, the acreage and the design and the verbiage. There was confusion in the last application, whether it applied, it didn't, and you modified your application a couple times with the language and what it did and didn't meet. And the intensity on that acreage being allowed in that type of zone could have had repercussions to others, right? It wasn't just site-specific. And now you're back, and Mr. Bellis has been before us before with 2 easels in the past, right? Which is, we'd like to do this, or we're gonna do this. And the commissioners and maybe many people in the public realize, and some do not, that when an 830G comes before us, and if we approve it, it goes forward. If we deny it, and the town does not have enough affordable housing, they get to appeal to court, and it's a very difficult process. So it's kind of like you get to pick A and work with us, or we're going to give you B and you have no choice, right? And that's where we are today. So I'm going to go around and see what the commissioners think. I'll start over here. Rich, you want to start? You have any comments? We want to try and go quick because we have another pre-app, but I want to get to every commissioner.
I'll make it quick. You came last time and you tried for 50 on 1 point something acres. Then instead of the, oh, well, there's 2 pictures, maybe one here, maybe the other, you're just straight up threatening us with 105 on 1 point something acres. That is unbelievably gutsy. I'll use the nice G-rated term. G is for gutsy. Unbelievable. That piece of property was randomly selected among, oh, it happens to be near, I think this is the one that happened to be near an industrial zone. That's all I have to say. Unbelievable that 100 units, you're going to straight up threaten us with 100 units. Here's what we're going to do. It's always been alluded to. Here it is, for real, in a picture in front of us.
So how is this area currently zoned? I mean, what would be residential?
Residential.
So much lower density, right, obviously?
Yeah, half acre, what, half acre, I think, right?
In,
It's half acre.
Yeah.
yeah, in the document, that second document, the zone change, there's a diagram here of the 500-foot radius area that looks like it's by Pinewood Lake.
That's not accurate.
Is that a mistake?
Yeah, no, this is nowhere near Pinewood Lake. No, this is Reservoir Avenue down at the end.
I was
near
trying to
Old
figure
Town
out
Road.
how that worked into it.
No, this is a property between Lindeman and Old Town.
Yeah, no, I know where it is. That's why that document didn't make sense. As far as our affordability status, at least from what was provided from us, we are 5.21% in compliance now. It's under the 10. I was looking at the list of what makes something compliant. So it's not just deed restriction, it looks like. Are there other factors? Like, I mean, Stern Village apparently affordable. It looked like there were some privately owned properties, rentals, houses, not deed restricted, but also count in the numbers. Is there some process for that? I think Attorney Cadone, you're the best person to
Commissioner Kroll,
answer.
there is a whole process that the entire state is governed by, in which your units count towards percentage of affordability. So that gets filed every year with the state. And that's probably a discussion we can have more offline. I think probably best now it would be to direct your comments towards this project.
Sure. I mean, in general, you know, the state we live in, right, we've got a lot of radicals, we got a lot of communists in the state. A lot of people up in Hartford, you know, or that end up in Hartford, their communities aren't sending the best and the brightest. They end up creating a lot of convoluted laws. They may be well-intended, I'm sure a lot of times they're well-intended, but these laws also create a lot of moving targets, right? We just lost, from what I understand, Avalon rolled off the list. So you can meet the standard and then quickly not be meeting the standard. With the goal of, you know, building and making everybody equally miserable in their communities. That was more of a statement than a question, obviously. So for Attorney Cardone, what, you know, generally, what's the success rate of towns who fight 830G?
So the legal standing is that the town carries the burden to prove why they've denied it, which switches the burden of proof in a normal application. So we have to prove that it is a health safety issue that would be a reason for denial, which is often a difficult standard to meet.
All right, that's everything I have to comment about it. Thank you.
Ms. Delvecchio.
I just agree on the density on such a small piece of property. Conceptually, the workforce housing apartment zone, it's not a horrible location for it. But again, I think that's a lot on that size of property.
Okay. Ms. Hall?
Am I able to ask about the application for eligibility for the residents? I know,
I mean, ask you a question. We'll see if it applies.
okay,
Go
so,
ahead.
yeah, it might not apply, but I was reading about the eligibility and the application that you give the residents, but I saw about salary and things like that, but I didn't see anything about criminal history, eviction records, credit reports, identity verification. Do you do any of that in the background checks when you lease to them?
Yes.
You do that?
Yeah. Well, every application when you're doing an apartment. you-
Okay, it didn't say it in there, but that's what you include? Okay.
Mr. Silber?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That one doesn't look bad, that the lower density development, but what, it's deceptive because we're not seeing what's around it. I mean, that right there, that green patch right there is probably close to an acre by itself. So what's, you know, let's be realistic. Is it touching Avery Abrasives? What?
I mean, my rendering guy is not, you know, an exact science, but in all fairness to the site, it's an L-shaped piece. And it's got a decent amount of frontage, but it funnels out to a box in the back. It's literally way behind lots that are on Old Town Road with hundreds of feet behind the houses. And it's adjacent to a 3.5 acre industrial piece that, again, doesn't have a residence right near it. I mean, it's really secluded, the actual building location.
This is that spot. I'm looking at the map right now. This
Yeah.
is the spot
I mean, you
with
can look on
all those
GIS.
trucks and stuff that, you know.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. That's where it's next to.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, you know, I've sort of come to the conclusion that Trumbull is, you know, philosophically, I just don't, I think there's a lot of pressure on Trumbull right now for housing. And we should have different kinds of housing, but I don't support building on every ledge, patch of land, everything else. I mean, you know, I mean, I don't think that's good for the town. And so I would not favor this, either one of those proposals, simply for that reason. I think the town needs to sort of draw the line and say, well, you know, you got a half-acre patch of land, it's not appropriate, or whatever it is. It's not appropriate for 25 units. So, I mean, I think in the interest of the town. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, so if you want to finish up with anything, this is going to take a lot of conversation back and forth for, you know.
Sorry, Fred. Yeah, with regard to the 830G, you know, that's always out there, but I'm at the point where we can't make decisions with that hanging over our heads all the time. And you know, I'll do my part for the town. And if you know, if that law causes something to be done that I don't favor, I mean, I've done what I could, so I'm going to live with that.
So I'm just going to say for the record, for wherever we end up a year from now, one of the things that this commission has to do is choose what is the best path for Trumbull moving forward, right? And when zoning has things that are under their control versus when zoning has things that are not under their control. And, you know, Attorney Bellis is claim to fame from Daniels Farm Road. And if people don't understand that story, I'm going to tell that story just for our benefit. Okay? If you're familiar with the development on Daniels Farm Road, the gentleman who owned the property wanted to build 14 houses, and the neighbors complained it was too intense and their trees were going to get cut down that weren't theirs on somebody else's property, and they put up an argument and delayed and cost overruns. So we got a partner. And then they came back, and Mr. Bellis came in with 2 boards and said, hi, we'd like to build, whatever it was, 40 homes, or we're going to build 100 apartments. And now, instead of the original development that owner of the property wanted, there are now 30 plus homes there instead of 100 affordable housing units. So it's already been here, and we are now in that exact same place for what's the best decision for Trumbull on what are the possible outcomes of this application moving forward. Okay? So that's why we're elected, to make the best decision, not to prove points. What's the best decision for Trumbull? So you want to say anything else before we're done? Because I got another pre-app.
Absolutely. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I was just hoping for some like positive suggestions, maybe do some 1-bedrooms so there's not training on the school. I got called, I was threatening. It's a state law. I didn't pass the state law, guys. We're down 77%, last in the country in inventory since COVID out of all 50 states. I get people that want big stuff next to their house. It's a 3-story building, the lesser size one. It's really not near anyone's, like right up against anyone's house. It's in one of the busiest parts of town on a main double-line road on public transportation. I truly think it would be a good thing for the town. I told you I got similar legislation passed in 2 neighboring towns. And to come here and get not one suggestion and get called threatening, it's just a little disheartening. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Appreciate it. Attorney Bellis, you all set?
Yeah, just my last comment would be, I don't threaten people. I never have. I built a 100-unit apartment myself in Shelton on 1.7 acres. And the response I get from everyone all over town is, that's a beautiful project you built. We love the revenue, and I wish other developers would do the same. So I think your visceral reaction may be misplaced. I suggest you go down River Road in Shelton and take a look at the Clock Tower Apartments. That's 100 units on 2 acres. And it doesn't affect anybody. This is a similar type project. Steve has suggested he would even have it 48, which would be half of the density of that project. And I think the location is one that is not as controversial because of where it is in town compared to there's other spots that I could see where people would get their, hairs up on their
Right,
back.
and the part you concentrated on as the applicant is what you should have.
Yeah.
And the part that we have to absorb is, as I said at the beginning, the pros and cons and the supporters and the deniers of wanting apartments and the
Yeah.
change of life in Trumbull.
Yeah.
It's here, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, you're
People
right
say,
about
why
that.
Trumbull? To your point, it's happening in every town.
Yeah, I have
Every
5
single town.
I have
But wait,
5
let me finish. Let
applications
me
in
finish.
Fairfield, yeah.
The impact is to the schools. That's the major impact, because that could be 40 to 100 kids that are going to get added to that school district. That's for all these different places, and it's in an area where these multiple developments got in before the gold rush gate was closed
Yep.
on developing high density units, because there's a couple there. And the ones that are coming in now in the industrial zone, that's why they're going to be deed restricted
I
for.
appreciate that comment. I think Steve was alluding to it. If you make them like 1 bedrooms, you're usually going to get young people that don't have children, and that may alleviate your concern.
Right.
I hope.
You have caused subjects for great discussion moving forward.
You got it.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. I'll
Next applicant,
see you later. Thank you.
2225 Reservoir Avenue, mixed-use development. Name and address for the record. If you can do 15 minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Chairman, Commissioners, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzio LLC, offices at 10 Saskill Hill Road in Fairfield, here on behalf of the applicant for the property at 225 Reservoir Ave. Just trying to get my USB in here. Second. Okay. Trying to get this thing in. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, all set. Thank you. So again, Chris Russo, here on behalf of the applicant for property at 2225 Reservoir Avenue. We have previously been before you for this property. That was in support of the text amendment that was being proposed at the time for the age-restricted housing overlay zone for the IL2 zone. We showed you an example of a potential development that could come under that text amendment, and what we could do on this piece. That text amendment, this commission approved, obviously, and so now that it's approved, we are coming back to show you this plan once again, and seek your feedback and your comments on the proposal as we ready for submission under this new text amendment. Because I'm cognizant of the time, I'll move quickly. But this is a piece, it's on the corner of Reservoir and Lindeman. It complies with this new text amendment. It's in the IL2 zone. It's on a piece that's greater than 5 acres. It's a 6.22 acre piece. The proposal is for 155 units. But in talking with the town and staff and others, there was a desire to have some type of mixed use component to it. And so there is 4,000 square feet of commercial that's proposed, retail, be like a neighborhood retail, maybe something similar to what you have over on Madison Avenue, something that would serve the residences that are around in that area, as well as the, obviously the new units that would be at this site and possibly around. The proposal would satisfy your parking standards with 233 parking spaces. That would include utilizing your shared parking that you permit under your regulations. And it's proposals for a 4-story building. I have the architect here. He's gonna run through his plans with you just to show you what it looks like. But it's a really nice piece. It's nicely situated. What I think you'll see is that there's plenty of room for buffers in locating this building, and be able to provide things with really not at the minimums, but increased setbacks. We've doubled the amenity area for the residents that's required from your regulations, and also provide some affordable housing.
So the pictures up while you're talking, so we can save
Yeah,
time.
so we're gonna, first I'm just gonna turn it over to Ari Mitnick, who's the developer, just so you can hear from him. And then I'll turn it over to the architect who's gonna run through his plans.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the time. My name is Ari Bitnick, representing AMS Acquisitions. We're a multifamily development firm focusing on building luxury residential communities throughout New Jersey, Westchester, and Connecticut. We're really excited for this project. As a firm, we've been targeting Lower Fairfield County for a couple of years now, with a specific focus on the town of Trumbull. Given its high density, strong demographics, and lack of this type of housing, we feel that a luxury 55-plus community would be highly successful and more than viable as a project. This actually is the third site we've worked on in Trumbull. We strongly believe it's the best one. The subject site is easily accessible to both highways 15 and 25, and is located within a pocket of town that has been successfully targeted for redevelopment. The site is already fully disturbed, and most importantly, is not next to any residential neighbors. We believe that our proposal is the highest and best use for the site, and would be a big value add to the town, as this type of product does not currently exist. So, just wanted to give a high-text overview.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Seelan Path. I'm a principal at Byamfield Architecture. I'm fairly familiar with the area. One of my kids plays tennis at the Trumbull Record Club, and we did, as a firm, some interior design work at the Woodside project. So there are two, I don't know how to make it bigger, I'm sorry, but I'm looking at that plan with the,
We'll zoom in.
thank you. Perfect. That's great. Thank you. There are two primary planning goals, to create a walk along the street, one that's curated and feels like you're walking in the neighborhood, and then reinforce that corner. It's an important corner because you have some great developments around there. Reinforce that corner with a building, but the building is set back by the parking, and then create a connection across that hopefully will be used by people from different communities. Maybe they walk across from the Woodside project, across that corner. You see we're alluding to the fact that maybe we have some sort of pedestrian area at that corner, and then you walk up to the retail, which is the orange. So that was one goal, and the other one was to create a quality residential product. And often when you do that, you're trying to create a sense of place, a sense of community. And that U shape that faces the quieter part of the site will help us do that. Yeah, sounds good. Okay. So this U shape here will help us create that, right? It's about 30,000 square feet. So the site is large enough to easily accommodate the parking and the units that we want to put in it. Our buildings are usually highly amenitized. Our second project with AMS, so we will be looking to have like a high degree of amenities. You're talking about golf simulators, gyms, everything that you would want if you're downsizing from a home, and this is a place that you want to retire, you want to be later in life. And then the outside amenities, the pool, the grill stations, and all of that, and everything that goes with it. So you come in, it's a two-volume amenity. It's a simple U-shaped building. There's 2 bedrooms, 1 bedrooms. This is a second option for retail, just in the top right. We can choose either. We're willing to work with the town on that. And once you get above, the base floor plan is just a regular double-loaded corridor. Wanted to show you this. Again, we're just going really quick here, but we've done a lot of projects in Fairfield County. What we're looking at there are some projects in Darien, Fairfield, New Haven, Norwalk. There's 2 projects in Darien, one being the Corbin district that we're building out right now. We're familiar with the idea of trying to create a place or add to a place, and hopefully we can do that here. This last couple of images are images from AMS's projects that they're building right now. So we're committed to quality. The team is committed to quality. The team that's assembled has done this multiple times, and hopefully we can bring something positive to this neighborhood.
So again, this project, it's, as it's designed, fully compliant with your text amendment that was recently approved to provide this age-restricted housing option in the town. But with that, we were really here that we were hoping to get your comments and feedback on these proposals ahead of an application submission.
So I'll start at 10,000 foot. So I think there's progress in that direction, especially for the over 55, because that's what the town needs, and the language was already created to support that. So I think we're at the point where the language exists. Are the projects going to be put before us something that this commission is interested in and the quality that they expect? So any questions for this applicant? Go ahead, Rich.
Counselor, what type of retail, you looking at a restaurant, shop? What's intended?
I would say more, as he said, more neighborhood. We're not looking at any big box supermarkets, probably more pizza, coffee, haircut, maybe medical office, potentially, more to serve the existing community. It's obviously been an area that has seen, I think, 4 or 5 new developments. And adding this one on, it would be a great amenity to have in that pocket of town, some convenient things to kind of go to.
And I'm looking at,
The idea.
thank you, I'm looking at, I guess it's number 2. It says 4,000 square feet of retail. Just how many individual units is that? Maybe 2, 3?
Yeah, you can mix it up. It's going to be more smaller spaces, most likely, probably 500, 2,000 square feet. We think medical office might be convenient there also. So when you say retail, it's more commercial, I would call it.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Mr. Kroll.
So it sounds like with this application, there's no changes to zoning being requested, right? It meets all our current
We
requirements.
passed language, or we created the language that they can apply for, or that hearing already occurred. This language was created that allows us.
And from what I understand, the moratorium on apartment sizes, that doesn't apply to this?
No.
Due to the age restriction?
Correct.
And just so you know, Commissioner, I mean, you obviously remember the reg and what we went through, but the, just procedurally, we have to apply for a zone change. So we'll have to present that application to you and go through how we feel that this particular site is appropriate for the zone. So there'll be that analysis. Your regulation also requires us to go to WPCA, to talk to the police commission. So there's a lot of reviews as a part of that application process to really, make sure that this site is an appropriate location for the overlay.
All right, thank you. Do we have any statistics right now that say what percentage of our housing stock is restricted to 55 and over?
Yeah, we can get that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just want to add on that point, if I could. In terms of just generally as the high level, in the Northeast, there isn't a lot of luxury rental downsizer communities. And so we feel like this would attract people from other places as well. That would be a positive addition. So we feel like it's a good addition for Trumbull, but also would be a big, tax increase base in terms of other people or folks from neighboring communities that want to maybe move in also. So.
And with the obvious benefit that age-restricted housing has less demand as far as services than other types of housing.
Okay, any more?
No, I guess just, any of these high-density developments, right? I mean, they all start adding up and they put pressure on police, fire, other things, right, in town, so.
Right, and they come with impact studies, all of them, and that's one of the things I said at the beginning. That's correct, something we need to be cognizant of in every one of these developments, and we require impact studies when we do these high densities. And they project commensurate on their other similar ones, and one of the things, to the credit of all the folks that have come in, balancing with staff, all the impact studies that were presented have met their goals or under. So nobody's come in and said, hey, there's only gonna be, 2 kids and 1 call a year, and there was, 100 kids and 100 calls a year. That hasn't happened. But we have to evaluate the impact study when they show it to us.
Yeah, and that impact study gets detailed. I mean, the person who does the analysis, they call the fire department and EMS and walk through how many more EMTs would you need to serve this building? How many more police officers? And then the associated cost with that. And that builds into the whole analysis. And you take that cost, and then you look at how much revenue is this going to generate from property taxes, but also personal vehicles and things like that. So it gets very detailed. And that'd be all part of the application process. We would submit that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rich? No? Okay. Ms. Delvecchio.
Are any of these set aside as affordable? Was that part of the text
Yes,
amendment?
10%.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hall? Nothing? Mr. Silver?
Thank you. I'm a big proponent of mixed use, and I think this is a good idea. It's so hard for me to envision how 155 across 6.2 acres is going to feel, but just in terms of directional, I think if you're doing mixed use, there has to be enough retail. And I'm not sure that 4,000 square feet does it. I mean, you all would know better than me, but I mean, if you can get one restaurant, and a liquor store or a pizza place or whatever, I like the idea of people being able to walk to the stuff that they have to buy, and I just don't know if that can be done in 4,000 square feet.
Well, we could certainly take a look at that. We're not trying to create a commercial corridor, and I think that's what Ari was saying. We're
Attorney
trying.
Russo, let me just.
sure.
I'm not looking
Right.
for it to be a commercial.
Right.
The point was made, and it's a good one, that there really isn't any retail down in that area.
Right.
So if you want to get a sandwich, you have to get in your car and drive up to Trumbull Center or whatever, which is like ridiculous, and that's not the way.
Right.
That's not the future, I don't think.
Well, yeah, and so we'll look at that, and maybe we could provide analysis, maybe even more detailed about what 4,000, or if it ends up being more, how much will that yield us if we put in a sandwich shop, and how many tenants can we actually fit in that space? So we'll
Yeah.
be more detailed when we come in with a submission.
And what
with regards to
the
that.
economics are different for a retail than they would be for residential?
Yeah, I would say that the driver of these projects are definitely not the commercial aspect. It's
Right.
residential.
Right.
Usually, actually, commercial takes up more space on the site given the parking ratios.
Yeah.
And so it really would be an amenity to the tenants and just making the project better. It's not really an economic driver. So just to be honest, if it was a clean slate, we usually don't incorporate retail.
Oh, yeah,
Unless
that's
it's
good to
in
know.
a place where it kind of makes sense to.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. Thank you for saying that. But what
Yeah.
appeals to me is the mixed-use aspect. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say just in the density per acre aspect of things, just a quick context, we're building a project right now in New Jersey, in Evesham. We fit 130 on 4.2 acres, and it doesn't feel tight. We could show you some more renderings and more images. We're building a project right now in town of Cortland, in Westchester. We fit 148 on around 6, but it wasn't a flat site. It was a lot of hills, so it's not really as usable. And so this is, in our eyes, in terms of what we see in the different states, and what we propose is not high density in terms of loading a ton onto a site doesn't fit it.
Yeah.
So
I did the math. That's like 25 units per acre. So yeah, I mean, it feels high, but maybe it's not. But the concept of mixed use is important. There's one going up by Fairfield Black Rock train station that is appealing. I think will be. So
Yeah, and Commissioner, if you want a site to visit, it's actually one Sealand designed and worked on. That's in Fairfield, the Anchorage that he mentioned. It's right above the downtown Fairfield train station. It's like 2 properties up above Mosswood, and that's 3 acres. That piece was a little over 3 acres, and that's 90 units. It's a nice building, similar to what we would do here. It fits well on that property, and I can tell you that piece is very, and that development is very successful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. I think we're all set. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
I think
Appreciate
you got
the
your
time.
answers. So I just want to let everybody in the crowd know, we're going to take 5 minutes before we start the official meeting. And it looks like there's several people here probably for the text amendment. So I think a lot of you were here last month and the hearing is closed, so there's no more public comment. And there's a high likelihood that it is going to be moved to next month. We're going to confirm that in this break, so we'll tell you instantly so you don't have to stick around because there's a couple questions that may not be answered. So I get it. I work long days like you. I want to give you all the information. And as soon as we come back, we'll let you know. All right? Thanks. Okay, good evening. At this time, we're going to start the regular meeting for the Wednesday, April 23rd Planning and Zoning Commission for the Town of Trumbull. Everybody, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Commissioner Hall is here, Commissioner Delvecchio is here, Commissioner Silver's here, Commissioner Kroll is here, Commissioner Deacon is here, Commissioner Cousins is absent, and I'm here. Is that good, Linda? All right, we're good. Okay, so it is happening, but you can hear it happen. It's happening right now. So, as discussed, there were some staff questions that needed to get answered and back and forth with the developer, which haven't happened because of the holidays. So at this time, we are going to take a motion to table the text amendment. The applicant is Connecticut Trumbull Village, who's requesting to modify the P and Z regs, Article 2, Section 2.7.2.3 of the Village Residence District Regulation. The copy's on file. It's file 2507. We'll take a motion to continue the hearing to the May hearing. Hearing is closed. We'll continue the vote, continue the application.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a
Do we need a
second?
date, Jim? Or does it matter?
I believe it is May 21st is our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Second it. Any discussion? No? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 with Commissioner Kroll voting. Okay, so it's continued to next month. The next item on the agenda is 824 referral municipal improvements. Report to the town of Trumbull regarding an easement on Quality Street to the state of Connecticut DOT to install a rapid flashing beacon as a pedestrian safety measure. Staff has a report.
Just as stated in the agenda, that this is a parcel of piece of property where we're requesting an easement to allow for a traffic calming device.
Okay? Any questions of staff for this? No? This is just, you explain it for the public that's watching, whether this is us getting an easement from the state or the state getting one from us. It's not real clear here.
I know, I believe it's the state getting an easement from us.
Right, it's Trumbull's land, the state's gonna get a flashing light put up for us because we want it and need it, and they have to put it on our land.
Correct.
It's that simple, but it doesn't say that, right? Okay, I'll take a motion. Second, Mr. Deacon, any questions? No? All those in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unanimous. Excellent. I don't know. It's on Quality Street on the corner. Yeah. Ask Rob. Jeez, it's done.
Just curious.
Okay. That's after the meeting, curiosity. Bond release. 1, D. Riccio Properties LLC requests release of full erosion control bond for 49 Daniels Farm Road, file 2206. Staff, has the bond been met?
Yes, everything is in compliance with the regulations and the approval of the
Okay, so they
application.
met all their conditions.
Correct.
Okay, I'll take a motion
So moved.
to approve by Mr. Deacon. Is there a second?
Oh, those move. Get Mr. Kroll on the
Mr.
roster.
Kroll, I'm sorry. Mr. Kroll, so moved.
Get him on the
Is
roster.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Deacon, any questions on the bond release? No? Hearing none? All in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Planners report.
Nothing to report at this time, just that we are almost in the final stages of submitting the POCD to the Planning and Zoning Commission, so just be on the lookout for that.
Okay. All right. So, acceptance of the minutes from March. Is there a motion?
I've read the minutes from March 19th and found them to be in their usual order and make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tony, you voting? 5. Unanimous. Okay, commissioners done. That's it. Motion to close. Mr. Deacon, second. Ms. Delvecchio, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're closed. Thank you.